Today we're going to put Claude projects up against ChatGPT's custom GPTs to see which should be at the core of our automation processes. And this isn't going to be just some review of their specifications and features. Oh no, it's going to be a grudge match where I push these AI tools to their absolute limit. AI automation is a skill that is in high demand right now, and if you want to get serious about this stuff, it's important that you know which AI tools are best for automating which processes. I've created over 100 custom GPTs and Claude projects for myself, for my audience, and for my clients, and I'm happy to say some of those are actually getting used. So a quick note about the new Strawberry model. That came out while I was filming this video, and while you can't use that inside of custom GPTs quite yet, I found a cool hack. I'm going to be demonstrating that at the end of the video. I've covered my 4-step process for building automations with these tools in other videos. I'll do a quick recap of that before we get into these tests here. We're going to test these tools with massive instructions, aka many steps in our process. We're going to test these with massive data, looking at RAG and context window limitations. And we're going to get into creative versus analytical tests, ambiguity resolution tests, and edge case handling tests. So just a quick recap of the 4-step process. We start with documenting our process, then prompt sequence, so creating a prompt for each step in our process so we can work with the large language model on it. And then we turn those prompts into custom GPT instructions or Claude instructions, and then we test and deploy our processes. This is a prompt that might be able to help you with your process documentation. I've got this in the cheat sheet to this video. There's a link in the description to that. Here's another one for creating the prompt sequence out of the step-by-step process you've created, and then building those into instructions. So turning the prompt sequence into a set of instructions that the GPT can use. Basically, you want to find the main ideas, you want to make sure that they're in the right order, and then most importantly, you want to put in these check-in points or feedback loops where the AI can say, hey, are we going along in the right direction here? I've created a killer tool for turning those prompt sequences into instructions here. There's a link to this in the cheat sheet as well. This is my most popular custom GPT. Many thousands of people have used this. And one thing that I've changed a little bit since previous videos is my introduction to these instructions. Here in the cheat sheet is the updated instructions intro. So the first example we're going to look at is planning a music festival. So I just say you're an expert music festival planner. You will walk the user through this step-by-step process for organizing the festival, covering all the areas, etc. And then this sentence is key. You will always make recommendations to the user at every step so that the user will only have to make selections between a few numbered choices or tell you to proceed to the next step. This is critical because sometimes the AI will start asking you all sorts of questions. What I'd rather do now with this edition is say, hey, give me a menu of things I can choose from. You can obviously give it, more information at any step, but it's kind of nice to have a menu of options where you can just say, yes, no, please proceed, or I like number 1 the best. So I'm really excited about this addition to my instructions intro, and this comes before the step-by-step process. So now let's start with the test. The first one we're going to do is this massive instructions, many steps. This is a 24-step process for planning a complete music festival. Here is what that looks like. This is the intro that I just showed you, and then we get into step 1, concept development, market analysis. I'm not going to read all of these. It would probably take the entire video, but the whole plan here is to walk these through a complex process for creating a music festival, all the way down to, I thought it was 24. Now I guess it's 30. I'm just copying and pasting all of these instructions. I've actually put that intro here at the bottom as well. I think when you're doing a lot of instructions, putting the main instruction there at the top and bottom can help the large language model understand what it's doing even better. So I'm going to copy and paste all of this into a custom GPT. If you need a quick refresher, you just go to chatgpt.com, my GPTs, create a new one. You can give it a logo here, give it a name, and then you just drop those instructions right in here. Oh, we've hit our first roadblock, folks. GPT instructions cannot be longer than 8,000 characters. Good to know, we're pushing these things to the limit. So what I'm gonna do is just chop out a few of these steps so that we can be inside of that limit. Let's see if Claude has the same limitations. To create a Claude project, you just go to Claude AI, scroll over here, go to projects, create a project, give it a name, and right here is where you set the custom instructions. Pasting that in, boom, it took all of those instructions, no problem. Okay, so back in our custom GPT music festival planner, let's see. I shaved this down to I think 24 steps is what I could fit into that 8,000 character context window. I'm just gonna say, let's begin. See how nice it is when it gives you these options now, instead of just asking you, what do you want to do for the theme? What do you want to do for the demographics? Explain the duration. Step 2, I'm just gonna say, please proceed. And I'm gonna go through these pretty fast so we can get through a bunch of different tests today. Did a little web search there for step 2, gave us a little budget. I gotta say, it's really cool that it's referencing the internet and it knows when these other big festivals are. It's picking out potential dates. Now we're moving on to the booking strategy. Now looking into sponsorships and partnerships, ticket price recommendations. Step 18, staff and volunteer management. Well over halfway through, I'm pretty impressed. It is still, seems like it's doing a pretty good job. I frankly was expecting it to start to fall apart by this point. All right, you can see the answers are getting a little bit shorter. The large language model is getting a little tired here. We're at step 20, and now we are creating diverse food vendors, bar locations, and beverage options. I don't suppose anybody watching this would be interested in that, but gotta cover it. Yeah, see, these are getting shorter, but still pretty good. 21, merchandise strategy. Yeah, quite short. Insurance and legal considerations. This might be one you don't want it to be so short. It's gonna give us just a little quick bites here now at the end, where the initial responses were quite long. All right, and I think that was the last step that we could fit into its instructions, was step 22. Let me check here. I asked it if there are any more steps in its instructions. It said nope. It's starting to get tired. Let's see if it remembers the first response. Just asking it if it can remind me of the concept from the first response. Yeah, not bad. I am impressed with this ChatGPT. So the only bummer was that we couldn't fit in all of the instructions that we wanted. We only were able to fit in 22 steps. All right, let's see how Claude performs. Internal server error. So I have tried this a few times now, and for some reason Claude is stalling out. If you've used Claude before, sometimes it does this, but this is interesting. I wonder if we've overwhelmed it with all those instructions. I don't know. So I just shortened the instructions to the length I gave the custom GPT, and it is still giving me this error. Not sure what's up with that. Maybe it's just a fluke on my side. We'll try it again later. Now I'd like to take a quick second and welcome you to Blazing Zebra. This channel is dedicated to giving you practical and useful AI skills. I've got a Patreon. That's how I support this channel. There's a link in the description. Anybody who joins that Patreon gets access to not only this cheat sheet, but about 100 other resources instantly. This cheat sheet here has a lot in it. Like I said, it has the updated instructions intro that I find to be really helpful. It also has all of the prompts that I went through in the beginning there, and a link to this instructions generator custom GPT that can turn, a multi-step process pretty quickly into instructions. All right, so now we are moving on to the massive data RAG and context window test. So we're going to go through creating a business plan, but we're going to load in as many business books as we can. So full books about business to help us with our plan, that these large language models can help us iterate through our process of creating a business plan, referencing these different books. Here's the custom GPT I've made for that, the business plan generator with a library of books. Let me show you what this looks like on the back end. This is a 12-step process that walks through creating a business plan, and it references all of these books. So I have 17 different books loaded in here. These are all the full length of the books. These are some big books that you probably know of, from Crossing the Chasm to Blue Ocean Strategy and all of the hip, management and business books from the past many years. And when I tried to load all those books into Claude, I was way over its knowledge base size. So this is unfortunate and very surprising, frankly. I created the same thing, the same instructions, and with those, actually this is less books than I have in that custom GPT. We are seeing that we are way over the knowledge base that is allowed in here. So there's really no way to test Claude. I think it clearly fails at this particular test. But I do have a surprise contestant that I want to share with you. And if you can guess, if you've watched my other videos, take a guess, drop it into the comments, see if you guess correctly. If you've watched a few of my other videos, you might know what this is. Take a second now and drop in a quick comment. Oh yeah, it's your boy Notebook LM. This is a fantastic tool if you've got a lot of different resources that you're trying to get through. It's not exactly an apples to apples to the custom GPTs or Claude projects, but if you've got a lot of information that you want to load in there, this is what you want to use. To use this, you've got to have a Gmail account of some kind, and you got to go to notebooklm.google. You may need to fix a few little parameters on your admin backend of your Google account so you can use this. I think it's still in beta, but let me show you what this can do. So I am going to create a new notebook here. And I'm going to add all of those files, 17 full books. You can see a lot of megabytes of knowledge, loading those up. Okay, we'll come back to this guy, but let's see how ChatGPT holds up to this challenge. I'm just going to say, let's begin. Interesting. So it is pulling in information from these tools clearly, and it is giving us a recommendation. It's now referencing the lean startup in there for the value proposition and business model design. Look at this, long-term vision based on good to great, strategic pillars. So it is referencing all of these materials as it's building out this business plan. Operational excellence and execution. It's looking at high output management and the 4 disciplines of execution. I gotta say, it's really crushing it today. This is the day of the custom GPT. I was not expecting this in the least. I was fully expecting Claude to outperform custom GPTs, but I think OpenAI is probably sick of hearing how good Claude is, and they've upped their game. Here we are on step 5. I like how it took some time to answer that. You know, it's actually hitting that knowledge base. I can tell I'm really pushing the envelope here. It's having a hard time responding. It'll stall out and then it'll give me all of its info all at once. What books is it looking at here? Poor Charlie's Almanac, Thinking Fast and Slow. Interesting, from Daniel Kahneman. All those books are in there. First Mover Advantage, Continuous Innovation, Loyalty Programs. Whoa, giving us a whole graph here. Now moving on to the pitch deck, executive summary, etc. Really cool 10-slide pitch deck. Moving on to the final step. It's referencing Principles by Ray Dalio. All right, so it got through the 12 steps. It said it referenced those books. In certain areas, I think it did. In certain areas, I wasn't so sure. I'm going to nudge it a little bit and ask about this last response and ask it to specifically cite sections of the book that it is using there. Now it's searching the knowledge base. Pretty legit response. All right. This custom GPT performed quite well, much better than I was expecting to handle all of those different sources. Like I said, Claude is known for its large context window, but it could not handle all of the different source material that was in this custom GPT. And now for our dark horse, Notebook LM. One of my favorite tools. If you haven't checked it out, please, I've got a video I'll link to right now to take a look at this tool. I use it every single day. It is as important as custom GPTs or Claude to me. While you can't really build a whole plan in here, you can do a lot of different research here. So we can copy and paste these prompts in one by one and see what it comes back with. By the way, these are the instructions that I used for that business plan generation. You can see I'm using a similar intro there and then going through 12 steps that reference the different sources in the knowledge base. So I've copied and pasted that first step in here, and with Notebook LM, you for sure are getting access to all those books for this market analysis and opportunity identification. It looks at blue ocean strategy, don't focus on competing in existing markets, red oceans, etc., value innovation. It's pulled together a lot of different sources that you might want to think about. Now, it's not going to, I take that back. It is giving us a interesting, innovative business idea. It's saying target market busy professionals in urban areas struggling to maintain a healthy lifestyle. Problem, existing solutions for healthy living lack convenience, etc. Fantastic. That is very interesting. I wasn't expecting to do that. And it is asking us, would you like to proceed to step 2, develop a business model? Let's see. Okay, it's getting a little weird here. It's saying it's citing me and it's kind of going all over the place. So I don't know that you could work through the instructions the same way you could with the others, but it is an interesting tool if you are needing to reference a whole lot of material. There is really none better than this notebook LM for research, and then you can pull these different components in to a Claude or a custom GPT to craft these long form documents such as the music festival planning or the business plan. All right, now we're going to do some quick tests here. Creative versus analytical, Claude projects versus custom GPTs. Okay, here we go on the creative side. Write a short story about a time traveler's first day in ancient Rome. Here's Claude. These are the artifacts that I was speaking about, which is really helpful to be able to deal with these. On this right-hand side, you can save them to your project. You can copy them and do a lot with these. So that is one advantage that Claude Projects has. The sun beat down on Marcus as he staggered through the bustling street of ancient Rome. Obviously very subjective, which is going to be the better story. I'm going to give this a quick scan. Weird, they both use the same name, Marcus. How odd is that? Marcus blinked as the blinding light of the time jump faded. Interesting. Versus the sun beat down on Marcus as he staggered through the bustling streets, disoriented and breathless. Marcus blinked as the blinding light of the time jump faded. His eyes adjusted to the warm sunlight of the Roman summer day. He found himself standing in a narrow alley surrounded by tall, sand-colored buildings. I don't know, it's kind of a toss-up. I guess I'm going to have to go with Claude on that one. I think that's a little bit more engaging. All right, now we're going to get into ambiguity resolutions. So when we give it some, ambiguous prompts, who performs better? Let's see. So here I am in Claude. I just am saying here I need help with my Python. It's not doing well. So very ambiguous and kind of confusing on purpose. Claude's doing a good job of asking for more information. The custom GPT is asking for more information, but it's not being quite as specific. Claude is getting very specific into asking what code are you working on? What do you expect the code to do, and what is actually doing? What is it doing? What are the error messages? I'm going to give Claude the win for this one. This is, I would say, a much better response. Even though they're similar, this is much better, in my opinion. And finally, we're getting into some edge case handling. Let's see how these models perform. For this one, I'm going to ask it to design a transportation system for a city where gravity reverses every 12 hours. Let's see how it handles this. Whoa, we're getting into some serious code here, Claude. Wow, look at this. It's got a whole document here of how to deal with this. Core principles, infrastructure, roads and pathways, vehicles, etc., public transportation. Let's see how ChatGPT did. It's coming up with, I would say, some similar interesting approaches to this, but that is where the artifacts really shine. I think that visual that Claude has given us to visualize what it's talking about here is putting it ahead of the custom GPT there. But it is interesting how similar their responses are. You can really tell that it was trained on some similar data. As you may know, Anthropic was started by some people who broke off from OpenAI. So they have a similar genealogy, shall we say. Here in Claude, I'm going to give this music festival planner another shot. All right, and we are off to the races with this music festival planning custom GPT. It's giving us some different themes here. Very fast when it's responding. Although the responses are not quite as long as the custom GPT, thought process seems good. I like what it is hinting at here. Oh, it's giving us some ideas of headliners here. I love it. Very cool. It's got sort of an eco-friendly concept, and it's pulled in some really eco-friendly fashion brands, renewable energy companies. Interesting. This is getting a little more creative than the custom GPT. We're now getting this message that's saying long chats cause you to reach your usage limits faster. So that is a notification that Claude is really referencing the entire chat string and not kind of skimping around like ChatGPT has been known to do. Gamification, echo points. It's really staying on that theme, which is awesome. So this is a pretty unique concept. I think it's a little more unique than what the custom GPT pulled together. Step 21, certainly faster. And although the custom GPT's responses were longer, I don't know that they were necessarily better. Definitely the ability to search the web was helpful though, I will say that. All right, we cruised through that one. That took a fraction of the time that the custom GPT took. All right, real quick before we get to the final results, I want to show you what I was talking about with this new ChatGPT model. This is the Strawberry model, also known as the ChatGPT 4.01 preview model that just rolled out and is all the buzz these days. One of the big things with this model is that it is supposed to be able to reason through many different steps. So I was wondering, do we even need those instructions, or can this just do it all on its own? So I started with this simple prompt, hey, can you help me plan a music festival? And it gave me basically the same response that I would have expected from ChatGPT 4, the regular version. So nothing to write home about there, but I found a really cool hack with this model where you can actually put in all of the instructions. So that long list of instructions that we used to test earlier, I just put that in as a prompt here and it performed really well. It stuck to these instructions like glue. It was really crazy how, if you remember, I asked it to give me these different options and it gave me option after option after option. It almost stuck to the instructions a little too much. So I'm starting to think about Claude as really this creative brain. So if you're looking for concepts or taglines, Claude may be the place to go. Whereas if you're looking for something really analytical, so maybe something more left brain, then you might want to look at OpenAI's ChatGPT for those types of automations. If you really want to stick to the instructions very clearly, or if you want to analyze data, OpenAI's ChatGPT might be the best for that. All right, now for the results. Drum roll, please. Here we go. For the massive instructions, the many steps, I'm going to give this a tie. I hate to say that. I was fully expecting Claude to win, but I had some problems getting that going. I received many errors. And the custom GPT performed really well by being able to search the internet, yet Anthropic's Claude was really creative and pulled together some awesome concepts. With that one, I don't think that it's fair to pick one or the other because I was expecting Claude to win. I'm a huge fan of Claude, but that custom GPT just crushed it. As far as the massive data goes, the Anthropic's Claude failed on that one pretty miserably. I was really surprised to see that. The custom GPT performed much better than I was expecting, and our surprise contestant notebook LM was in there, lifting some heavy weights when it comes to massive data. Now, when it comes to creative versus analytical, I'm not giving this a tie, but I'm saying Anthropic's Claude, as expected, excelled in the creative department, where the custom GPT excelled in the analytical department. That was what I was expecting here. That's pretty much the only thing that I was expecting that actually happened. Ambiguity resolution, Claude, I think, was ahead of that with just some extra ideas about how to get going with Python. And edge case handling, I think those artifacts put Claude ahead of the game there as well. So thank you so much for watching. I've got a cheat sheet where I've got links to all of these custom GPTs. I've got actually the instructions in there as well. So anybody who supports me on Patreon gets instant access to not only this cheat sheet, but over 100 others. Dozens of custom GPTs are in there, and there's some coaching options in there as well. So if you haven't subscribed to Blazing Zebra, now is the time. There has never been a better time to subscribe to Blazing Zebra. I've got a lot of fun stuff on the way. Make sure you turn on your notifications and drop me a comment. What do you agree with? What do you disagree with? I want to hear all about it, and I will see you on the next video.
Make your dreams come true.